And maybe one question there is, as you faced those moments when you were unable to not pick up the phone, I think it's important to start thinking about what was going through your mind, because that's when you start to reveal some of the impacts of being excessively connected or this need for instant gratification.
Hello, yes people. Welcome to another episode of the Yes Girls, where we, Claire
and Akumu,
say yes to doing, being, or learning something new and documenting our journeys. Akumu, how do you like your life?
Claire, jeez. Every time you ask some random big life questions, why?
Isn't that what we're all about? Asking big questions, experimenting, doing, being, learning, always aiming higher. And I think that Gen X have actually got some things right there.
Explain.
I mean, who is more fulfilled? A millennial doom scrolling through Gen Z diatribes on socials? Or a Gen X finding joy in actually existing IRL?
Maybe we try and find out. I guess we can right now, because this season we are saying yes to some big challenges where we do, be, or learn something and step into the shoes of a generation or a lifestyle and see how it affects our day to day.
And this episode's challenge is saying yes to
Finding
fulfillment
fulfillment
like a Gen X.
So sometimes it feels like we are in constant need of stimulation, feedback, content, to kind of feel like we are really living.
You know, I've been watching the latest season of Black Mirror on Netflix, and the repercussions of this look pretty scary in the long run.
Exactly. It means we might be missing on getting to know and appreciate ourselves and the world around us more. Look at the scientifically proven negative consequences of excessive screen time, not just in kids, which we know more about, but also in adults. Things like increased likelihood for obesity, sleep disturbances, eye strain. And according to a study by the International Journal of Mental Health and Addiction, increased use of screens may also harm learning, memory, and mental health, as well as increase the potential of early neurodegeneration. Oof. It's quite scary, yet almost most of us, especially millennials and Gen Z, are guilty of screening our way into those potential future outcomes.
Stanford lifestyle medicine experts recommend no screen time for the first hour of the day to support cognitive enhancement. And in general, reducing screen time frees up more time to connect with family and friends. Connections with others can help ward off symptoms of stress, depression, and anxiety. And that's not even counting more time with yourself to reflect and find fulfillment in existing, thinking, and just being.
So we set off to explore this idea of finding more fulfillment in less time spent in front of a screen. Or rather, Claire did, because this episode was her turn to say yes.
Yes. This season, it's all about what we can integrate into our day-to-day lives to improve our well-being or our happiness. And we have from experts who know all there is to know about the topic, or at least a lot more than us, and get us on our way to success. Some of these challenges revolve around trends in a generation or a cultural group.
Today we are honored to have none other than Sieka Gatabaki, who is the program director of Mercy Corps. The P is silent, right? Mercy Corps AgriFin. Kenyans don't know that. Mercy Corps, according to Kenyans. Anyway, program director of Mercy Corps AgriFin, and has over 16 years of experience as a digital innovation and business strategy leader. His prior roles include leadership positions at Airtel Africa and Airtel Kenya, as well as advisory work for the IFC and consultations for various organizations. He holds a Bachelor of Commerce and is completing a Master's in Sociology and Entrepreneurship.
You can't even say sociology.
I don't even, is it social? You know, when I have to read something, that's when I realize, oh my God. Sociology.
You said it perfectly.
So he guided Claire, set her a challenge, and today he will rate her on how she did and give us some tips on how we can find greater joy and simpler / better / realer things. Sieka, tell us a bit more about yourself or what we have not touched on.
Thanks, Akumu. You've touched on a lot of my professional life. Maybe I go beyond my professional life. On a day-to-day basis, I'm a father. And I'm also a practitioner of mindful living. I coach and support others to find their path in life so that they can have a more fulfilled experience on a day-to-day basis.
Then we definitely got the right person.
Luckily. Woo.
So, Sieka, please tell us what my challenge was.
Great. And I think I love the introduction about the challenge, because I think that's definitely what we need to talk about. The fact that we're living in a world that is over-connected. And the challenge was finding a moment to disconnect from this overstimulated, connected world. So we had two challenges. The first one was immediately you wake up, you take 20 minutes before you even touch a phone or any digital device. So you have time to reflect and think about various things in life, or just see how that moment works for you. The second challenge, on a more occasional basis, probably once a week, you take 4 hours off all digital devices, off all interconnection, to again experience and think through how that affected you.
Now, I think Claire might actually have had an easier time at this than me. But then again, I think she's probably worse at just detoxing and disconnecting than me. She's the first person to respond to a group chat, or even if I stay up late and get up early, she's somehow always online. So I'm intrigued to see how she got along with this.
Yeah, so am I, because I think I may think I nailed it, but Sieka might just pull me back to reality again and give me a really bad rating. Let's see. First off, I have some excuses. Okay, any good challenge taker starts off with their excuses, right? So number one, my work is very much about being reachable online pretty much all the time. I manage partnerships. I have people who kind of depend on me for information who are scattered across the world. That's number one. And I also have a number of other projects that kind of depend on me using my phone regularly, such as the Yes Girls, right? I just needed to get that out of the way. Okay, disclaimer.
An excuse is part of the challenge being in an unconnected world.
Yeah.
So you now have to find ways of justifying why you have to remain connected, but please carry on.
Yeah, and of course I don't. This is a perfectly invalid excuse. Also, I am the first to admit I spend up to my last waking minute on a screen. Like, the last thing I do before I go to sleep is look at my phone. Even though, ironically, my 16-month-old son is not allowed screen time. Like, he's not allowed to, like, don't show him a phone, I'll get annoyed with you. So yeah, a lot of hypocrisy there. But that's all for a good cause, of course. But yes, it was probably a good opportunity for me to question some of these choices in the way I lead my life. And one more excuse is I started this challenge whilst I was not in my day-to-day routine. So I was not at home. I was in England for 3 weeks, working remotely, spending time with family and friends, and showing my son England for the first time. So, excuses out of the way. So the tip I really tried to focus on was in the morning. That one was every day. But it was a very hard habit to break, as I typically reach for my phone, kind of as the first instinct, I guess, after reaching for my baby, right? I reach for him first, because he's usually...
It was the baby first?
Yes, I have my priorities right.
I'm going to
Because he's
ask
normally
Leo.
the one waking me up. And in England, he was, instead of being in his own room, he was right next to me in his cot. But he could reach over and tap me, mum, 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 mum. So if I ignore him to reach for my phone, he'll make more noise. So after that, I do reach for the phone. And I guess an advantage something I've used to my advantage is breastfeeding in the morning and night is a time to, catch up on my WhatsApps, the ones that you don't necessarily get to respond to in detail over the day.
Is that every morning? Like, first thing you wake up, you have to catch up on things?
Yeah. Not good. I know. So I tried to delay. So during this challenge, I did try and not reach for my phone immediately, at least once I checked the time. Right, because I need to know, okay, am I being woken up at 4 a.m.? Do I need to try and get him back to sleep? Or is it 6:30 a.m.? Therefore, he's probably not going to go back to sleep. And I do not have a timepiece, right? My phone is, I was going to say my phone is everything.
I think most people would say the same.
Exactly, right? You're wearing a watch. At least you can still survive without your phone and you'd know what time of day it is. I would have to depend on the alignment of...
I'll buy your watch for your birthday.
Or those traditional alarm clocks that you keep by the bedside and
exactly.
switch off.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, I mean, in general in my life, I would say this is one excuse, right? Where I'm saying I wasn't in my normal routine. But a lot of my life is not routine. I travel approximately once a month for work. We travel 2-3 times a year to Europe to visit family or to other countries. We like taking weekends away. And even during the week, 2 days a week I'm at the office, 3 days a week I'm working from home. At the weekend, we're out and about a lot. So I don't have, a regular wake up time. I don't have such a well-programmed biological clock. It's a little bit all over. But anyway, during this time,
Can I argue something there? Mm-hmm. And I think that's an interesting phenomena that we're facing right now. When you say you don't have a regular routine, right? But when you wake up, there are certain things that you do like clockwork. Mm-hmm. It's either 1, reach for the child, 2, take your phone and scroll, 3, probably go and brush your teeth, do your ablutions, shower, etc. Mm-hmm. So you do have routines that you do even when you're traveling. There are things that you must do. Mm-hmm. And I think those who get really successful in this challenge actually put that as part of their routines, that not touching my phone is part of the routine. Yeah. But I get where you're coming from. I mean, all of us face the similar challenges, so please carry on.
Yeah. And it's these are excuses which are not really valid. Yeah. And I think it probably shows that it would take a bit longer for this to really become a daily practice for me. Like during the challenge time, it was still a deliberate, conscious effort. It didn't come naturally to say, all right, no phone for 20 minutes.
And maybe one question there is, as you faced those moments when you were unable to not pick up the phone, mm-hmm. I think it's important to start thinking about what was going through your mind. Mm-hmm. Because that's when you start to reveal some of the impacts of being excessively connected, or this need for instant gratification. Where is it coming from? Where is it stemming from? So at those points, maybe did you have some reflections? Did you ask yourself some questions? Okay, why can't I do this?
Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot. So there's one thing is a work-related item. Like I mentioned, I work across different time zones, people in West Africa, the US, Asia. My partner's in the Philippines. At 6 a.m. UK time, it's 2 p.m. Philippines. So they probably ask me important questions. We need an order right away. We need this information. I would get anxious. I get anxious if I don't feel like I'm responding immediately. And I want to call it FOMO, that if there's a message on my screen, I need to be seeing it as soon as humanly possible.
And I think that's a beautiful revelation. That cause of anxiety, and we've seen again with a lot of mental illness and challenges people are facing, a lot of them is anxiety, stress. And so again, that's why it's important to actually find these easy ways to disconnect from the digital world, so that you start to relieve some of these anxieties and probably having a more intentional pathway towards living a more fulfilling life.
Yeah. And I think one way in hindsight, I could do that, for example, is disabling the internet until, so I don't even hear the Slack notification, or I don't see immediately when I look at the phone 127 notifications. Like when you're flying or when you have no internet for a while, I get anxiety when I don't have it, but then when everything comes back, I'm like, okay, now I can start, right? So if I disable it overnight until I say, right, now is when I'm starting my digital day. So those first 20 minutes, it's only maybe the phone is on, so I'm reachable in case of emergency. Because again, I also get anxiety if I think, what if something happens to my parents in England, or my husband's parents, or anything, a neighbor needs our help. I want to be reachable. And that is something that I do want to maintain, right? Because we are so connected in this digitally or over the phone. So at least keeping the phone enabled, but internet disabled. What do you think of that?
I think that's great. I guess one of the things that we as Gen X have the privilege of living through is that when we were young, we actually lived in a life that was not digitally connected. So the same sense of responsibility to act immediately on something was not there. Yeah? The only way you could get to people was these old telephones, and you had to remember phone numbers, and it was in a central place in the house. I mean, that came a bit later. Yeah, so many of us actually, TV was a new phenomena, looking at this VCR and etc. So we were not completely in the digital world. And so I think for a lot of us, that transition back out away from this connectedness is a much easier thing. But for those who have lived primarily in a connected world, that's one hell of a challenge.
Yeah, I think we're in between that, but certainly all of our teenage and adult life has been very digitally connected.
For millennials, it's teenage onwards, so we're
teenage onwards,
still messed up.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think in hindsight or moving forward, that is something that I would want to try. Probably no internet past a certain time. Although I have to admit, whilst I had a newborn, I would Netflix during the nighttime feeds to stop myself falling asleep. So there it's allowed, I think. Right? I need something to keep me awake.
There are benefits of being in a connected world. As you said, rightly so, you can be, people can reach you whenever they need to reach you. As you said, you can entertain yourself, so there's less boredom. But then there are also side effects of that. Yes. When you are bored, when you are in a quiet space, that is a space where you can create, that's a space of chaos. And then what should I do with myself? And so you can reflect and think a lot of things about your life in those quiet spaces. And so if we don't allow for quiet time as well, then we're missing a lot on the things that we could do to make life more exciting.
Yeah. And I did get some of those moments. So I did make an effort. Let me not say I didn't do this. I did try, but it was tough. And I'd sometimes wake up, automatically reach for it, look through things and then say, damn it, no, it's not what I was supposed to do today. But no, the times where I didn't, and I always generally, I wake up, I get my baby and he breastfeeds and he frolics and he smiles and he laughs and we play. And I love those moments of togetherness. I will say though, sometimes those moments of togetherness, I take a photo, for example. Right.
So you're digital.
So there's still some digital, right? The phone is still there. But when I did make the effort to just say, right, no phone. He breastfeeds for a while. I just lay with him. And then we talk. I mean, as much as you can talk to a 16-month-old and, let him hit my face and try and walk over my head and turn around in the bed and try and walk away. And then I pull him back. And those moments were, really just being, those were amazing. Those were heightened by being more present.
So we thank Leo for that. Leo has played a big role in this challenge, I think.
He's a little coach. He's a little coach.
Because if I was alone, I think, I do sometimes just lie and think. And I actually did it a bit last week when I traveled. I didn't immediately pick up the phone and just lay there and, just bead. I was, right, just being for a little while. But yeah, when you have a baby, you're never really alone. So I didn't get that kind of self-reflection time in the same way that I would if I was alone, maybe. But that came like last week, for example, which was past the official challenge period, but I was still trying to,
That's great.
Trying to keep some bits of this. Okay, so then the 4-hour digital detox. This one was more challenging, especially as I mentioned, working across different time zones. And during the time where I was away, I was completely working remotely. And I did have I called it flexi time. So, I might work from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then take a couple of hours to do something else. And then, working different times throughout the day, even early in the morning, late at night. So it meant that I could go out for 3 hours, go to the park or go see friends, but I could still answer, I could still be present for work needs. So I didn't get back to a overflowing inbox. And this FOMO problem of mine is real. I can't have, the red circles on your iPhone. Yeah. I can't have them. They make me anxious. So again, if the internet's off, I don't get them, which might be better.
Yeah.
Let's just say, first of all, I need to give them a picture. Whoever is listening, even Sieka, when you pick up her phone, even when you want to take a photo, I get overwhelmed by the notifications. I think
because they come up on my screen.
You enjoy your notifications. So it helps you.
At least I don't know. No, they probably don't. They probably make me more anxious.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
I'm not a psychologist, but that's probably true.
But if they're not there, then I'd constantly be opening the apps to see.
Yeah.
But she's still anxious even without them.
Yeah, probably.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a deeper issue here, I'm sure. Anyway, let's not get too deep into that. No time for that. So the 4-hour challenge. So Some success. I had some successes here. So the one example is when I was in England, I took my husband to the airport. He unfortunately had to leave earlier than us. My son and I had to stay on because of passport issues, blah, blah, blah. And everyone on the train around me was on their phones, right? Anywhere you go, everyone's just on their phones. And I was journaling.
Wow.
Awesome.
Now, admittedly, I still had to check my phone because I was journaling like with a bit of a backlog. So I had to say, what was I doing on that day? Like, there was definitely something on that day. But it was just to make sure my timelines matched. I wasn't scrolling. I wasn't like consuming content in that. Like the phone was just to help me. But otherwise I was writing. I wrote like 10 pages, 20 pages during this train journey. And I ate a sandwich and an apple. And I felt pretty good about myself. It wasn't quite 4 hours, but then there were also quite a number of really satisfying moments where I was just with people. And I think those are the moments to me which are the most magical these days because they are so rare. When you're just with someone or people where you allow yourself, usually it's people who are close to you, I find, where you allow yourself to do that. Even Akumu came around to my house the other day with her sister. I don't think I looked at my phone at all.
No, none of us did.
Yeah. None of us did, yeah. It was lovely. Yeah. And I mean, funnily enough, the idea of, you know what, content creators and influencers, wherever they are, usually you think, does an hour go by at all in your life where you're not taking photos or videos? That makes me anxious to constantly be recording your life like that. I don't like that. Usually I, more often than not, if I'm on my phone, I am actually interacting. So connections are there. And, you know, I live abroad. I have family in different countries, friends, professional relationships in many different countries. So that's why my excuse is semi-valid for needing to be connected. But we should all make so much more of an effort when we are with people and having real social connections to just be present. And, you know, I went for dinner with an old university friend and didn't check my phone at all. We had to order food on a screen, which was annoying. It was one of those, like, contactless restaurants. But, you know, we went so deep. We really spoke. We caught up and... You know, we made revelations about ourselves that was totally new.
I'm really enjoying the fact that when you are talking about these experiences you had when you are disconnected, you're adding so much light and flavor to the experience. You know, you're talking about what happened with who you are with, what you're observing, etc. And so that's part of the things that I'm expecting that you get out from this disconnection because we're so busy in our lives that we miss the small things. I met an old lady who told me about some story of her life, etc., or something like that. We're missing out a lot of these moments. And these moments are the ones that are memorable. They're the ones that you think about or actually help you create new ideas, new perspectives on the world, and have a lot more positive living. So what I'm loving about what you're saying is, or the way you're saying it is actually that description. And I can feel the passion. Like, oh, it was a challenge, yes, but when it came to it, then it just worked out.
Yeah.
Then there's something else you've said, which is there are moments where you do disconnect, but it's not an intentional disconnect. It's just the fact that you're amongst friends and the environment. And so you allow yourself to be disconnected from the digital world, but you're not anxious. You're actually enjoying that moment. And I guess there's a bit of a tension there in terms of, so it is a challenge when it's intentional. When you say, okay, I have to disconnect now. And you're thinking, oh no, wait a minute, but if I disconnect now, 1, 2, 3 things will happen. Yeah. But when you're with friends and you're just enjoying a good time, you don't even think about it. Say, oh, I actually disconnected for 5 hours. I disconnected the whole night. So that's something interesting to explore as well. But that should happen. And if that happens more often, then I think it's a good thing.
And I think it's also to do with timing probably because, you know, in the morning, like I mentioned, with different time zones, in the morning is actually a more active, you know, I always wake up with a bunch of request messages from my colleagues in the US or family. But maybe in the evenings, especially if you've not sent 100 emails during the day that you might start getting responses to, I can also, I feel like there's less I miss, not that I'm missing out on, but there's less I should be doing on my phone. And as you said, if it's not a deliberate, you're not feeling like you're making yourself miss out on something, you're actually choosing something that is way more fulfilling, because online interactions are not fulfilling. You can get maybe a small instant dopamine hit from certain things, like you mentioned, that instant gratification, right? I get a WhatsApp pop-up from someone who's responded to something that I've said. Ooh, validation. I'm being honest. I'm being very honest
to your message.
Yeah. No, when you just react with a thumbs up, I don't get.
Oh, you don't get. I get dopamine even
words.
from that.
Words.
Oh, words.
No, I think even better still, when you answer that notification and it's a big problem that you solve on time before it becomes a crisis, I mean, that's great.
Yes.
You did it. So, I mean, there is justification
Yeah.
sometimes, and you use that then not to do the other thing, which is to disconnect when you need to disconnect. Maybe I have 2 quick questions for you. Out of the 2 exercises, which did you find more fulfilling, and which did you find harder to achieve?
More fulfilling was definitely longer periods of disconnection, maybe also because it came more naturally. And, you know, the alternative was filling my cup. I'm an extrovert. So being alone and reflecting can feel good, but it's not what energizes me. So yeah, spending that time alone in bed is lovely. Or as I said, I'm never alone these days. I have a limpet attached to my breast. And sometimes all night even. So the morning can start like this morning at 2 a.m. But yeah, the morning, because that's more developing a new routine. So like integrating something into a routine, I feel like that takes a lot more practice and intention for it to become natural. Right? These things should come naturally after a while, but when you're breaking such an ingrained habit, it's quite, that one I did find more difficult.
That is profound. That is true.
And I'm not going to lie to you. I do not think this is something I will do now moving forward, like every, 20 minutes. But I would say maybe just disconnecting the internet until I'm ready to wake up. Because you know what also happens regularly to me is halfway through the day, I'll say, I swear I read something from my colleague about something, but did I dream it or not? Because I probably read it at 4 a.m.
Oh my God. And your brain was
responded
not on.
or said I needed to respond. And did I respond? Did I respond nonsense? I don't remember because I was still in that kind of sleep-induced haze.
Another symptom of being connected. And you're always constantly trying to check, is it the right thing, etc.
Yeah.
As opposed to when you have time to pause. And when we were writing letters, I mean, if you wrote the wrong thing in your letter and posted it, there's no way of getting it back and correct it until you send the next letter. So probably artificial challenges that we've brought into our lives that we really have to step away from.
This could we call it like high volume, low like thought communication?
Yeah.
Like if I look at my phone and I see how many people I've sent messages today, it's like ridiculous. But how many quality interactions did I have?
Exactly.
That is profound. Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, let me see. Was there anything else majorly? Like I don't want to say, like sometimes being on the phone or on a screen has its good things. Like I've made sure that every day since my child was born, I've taken a photo of him, and it's something I like. That's a nice thing for me, right? And it means when I'm away from him, I can scroll sometimes, just looking at photos of him.
And people around you also see those photos. Trust me, you show them to us as well.
Oh yeah, I show them to, but I don't post them on social media, just for the record. I'm not actually very prolific on socials. So maybe an issue is also, and something a Kumo often says is you should be creating more or as much as you're consuming. My issue right now is maybe I'm consuming more than I'm creating, and you feel icky. You feel icky when you spend too much time on the phone, personally. And I think that is we'll get into that more, and you can tell us more maybe from a objective point of view as well. But certainly spending less time on a screen, especially when it's not for productive purposes and it's not intentional, does not make me feel good. It does not. Yeah. It's kind of like eating junk food.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, before we get Sieka's download, and ratings. Let's take a short break. Sieka, it's rating time. How did Claire do? Is she a Gen X hero, living in the moment and finding true fulfillment, or is she doomed to doom scroll and face a life of anxious online living?
She's definitely a heroine. Well done. Well done. And the reason I say this is I think this process of disconnecting has to be taken as a journey. We've been so connected for so long. We've built so many reasons why we must stay online, and probably not enough why we shouldn't, not looking at the harm that it's doing to us. And so it being a journey, it'll happen in seasons, in phases. So you start by recognizing the habit, the behavior, and then planning out the change. So you did well because you actually took it on and you worked on the change. And you actually, through those small instances where you did it, you started to get the benefits of actually disconnecting. So you're already getting awareness of those benefits. And perhaps at some point, they will drive a lot of behavior moving forward. Yeah. So well done, well done.
So out of 10, how much?
Do we have to be specific?
Between 1 and 10.
Probably out of 10 is a phenomena for the over-connected people.
That's a good excuse.
Numerical ratings here, or how many thumbs up and likes.
Make it
how many likes. If you get 100, 1,000 likes, you can be registered in the system. But I'd give an 8.5 out of 10. I think it is.
That's probably
that's one of the highest. Yeah,
8.5 out of 10.
Very nice.
And
it's not easy.
Is it right to say I'm getting 8.5 out of 10 more for effort than for like outcome? Because it's a journey, like you said.
It's a journey. Yeah, there you go. So you at the very beginning of the journey would rate you. So it's like if it's a race, the first few minutes of the race, you've done the right things. You've shown the potential to actually get over the hump. And I think the other thing that you mentioned that's quite important is that you're an extrovert. And so the things that motivate you and drive you to be connected in the world are some of the things that the digital world actually buys into. I mean, you crave. It's a challenge for extroverts, but for introverts, they're able to step back. I mean, it's a natural response for them. So again, kudos to you.
Thank you. And I do want to emphasize that it is hypocritical, but actually maybe a quick question for you is, like, I don't allow my son any screen time. Like I said, we don't even have a TV. We don't show him cartoons. If we play music on a phone, he's not seeing the phone. Right? He can hold the speaker and press the buttons, and we let him explore everything.
So see what you're doing subconsciously.
Very intentional there.
See what you're doing subconsciously. Your mind knows that what you're doing is not completely right. You don't want to pass on those behaviors.
I don't want him to do what I'm doing.
So, I mean, that's one thing. And then the next thing is then, okay, if I don't want to pass it on, why should I keep also being part of that problem? So how do I also become part of the solution? The thing about young people is that as much as you tell them one thing, they will behave as what they see.
Yes.
They will associate that's the right behavior. So even if you tell them, don't be on the screen, but you're on the screen half the time, they're going to learn it and say, okay, I'm going to be more on the screen. So we've also got to watch for that. And I think we also have to change the ways we are. It's not just enough by stopping them having access to it. It's a bit more than that.
Absolutely. So I think I do need to be more intentional the older he gets and the more, children model what they see. Absolutely. The good thing is he knows he's not supposed to touch phones. So when he reaches for a phone, he'll look at you. Like, stop me.
He's testing you.
You're going to stop me. Or he actually comes and he hands it to me because he knows he's not supposed to. So I feel I've done something right there. Okay. So we want to hear a bit more from you now. Tell us what this topic, this idea, this practice means to you.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned through my life is that an important aspect of happiness is really getting to know who you are, what you like, what you want to experience in life. And that self-examination does need a lot of time in reflection. And reflection is not always being in a quiet place by yourself. You can reflect when you're interacting with others and observing your behavior as it compares or as it interacts with other people, and saying, oh my God, this is actually how I think. As I'm answering this question, this is how I think. This is why I'm doing this, etc. So exercises like this create the opportunity for you to actually do a bit of that self-examination. And a lot of us nowadays are not spending time thinking through who we are, how our lives are going forward. You'd be surprised that the number of people who just live for the sake of living, in terms of just working one day after the next. They might have career goals, but they're not thinking through enough in terms of how do I get from point A to point B. They just work. And then when they get home, it's rest, etc. Or you're on social media, etc. And so you're not really being able to maximize what you could get out of life. And this is some of the few exercises that you can start doing to be a bit more understanding of who you are, and so that you can take the necessary steps to live to that truth.
And how does this feed into your day-to-day?
For me, it's so important because I think, and this is overused, I also have a very high-pressure job. We run programs across multiple countries. We interact with multiple entrepreneurs who are thinking about the latest and greatest innovation to solve some of the world's biggest challenges. And when you're rocking up in such a space, you have to be sure about how you're thinking about the solutions, understanding that every move you take would have an impact on multiple lives. So being clear about yourself, your interactions in those spaces, what you need to know and bring into that space is very important. So on a day-to-day basis, I try to practice this thing. Similar to you, I also get distracted. There are days when I actually have to pick up that phone early in the morning because there's a message or I'm waiting for something to come through. So sometimes we do fall short of that ideal. But I think, as I mentioned, it's a journey, and you keep practicing so that you're able to then overcome it and live a much more fulfilling life.
Okay.
We've not actually used this word fulfillment much this episode. It guided me in a lot of what I was doing. And I think it's a perfect word to describe how you feel when you actually disconnect a bit. Disconnect from the digital and reconnect to the real or to yourself. Like you said, if you're an extrovert, it might be more talking with others. Like I learn much more interacting with others than being on my own as an extrovert. But yeah, how would you describe fulfillment? Maybe imagine someone who's like, I don't really like why would I want to be fulfilled? What is this fulfillment?
That's an amazing question, not an easy one to answer.
No pressure.
But I think you started grasping at it as you were explaining, actually, through this whole conversation. We probably have an innate or some idea around what fulfillment means to us. And that is why when we are in contexts or situations that are not fulfilling, then we know. And we feel that anxiety, we feel that tension. So we naturally know that, okay, is this enough, or this is not what I should be doing, etc. Those come naturally to us. So fulfillment is probably a state of harmony between how we are experiencing the world, both in ourselves and externally, and how we're expressing that. So it's a state of harmony. I'd like to go further. Once you're in that state of harmony, that's a creative space where you can then think about things like purpose. Yeah. So fulfillment then leads to, oh my God, this is who I am. This is what I should be doing. I feel energized. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this difference for my family, for my people, for the world, etc. Whatever your purpose is at any point in time, a purpose could be being a great mother, whatever it is. But it's only when you get the time to take that pause, to create that harmony, are you able to then take the steps towards a stronger purpose.
Interesting. You know what's funny is I did some executive coaching and professional coaching a couple of years ago, and those sessions I found incredibly fulfilling in exactly the way that you're saying, like energized and really not your mind. When your mind is just solely focused on, like, consumed, not even focused, it's not a focus, it's more just consumed by something that makes you feel good, and you're not thinking of 16 other things. Yeah, I got that with executive coaching, and when I used to do pole dancing, I was just fulfilled in that moment.
And also when you do this podcast, I know.
Of course, yes. Gosh, sorry, that's number
There
one.
you go.
Akuma, what are those moments for you? typically?
For me, every time I'm creating something, even a reel. I think Rioba has made fun of me. Like every time we're even recording a reel, he says he sees the excitement on my face. So every time I'm creating any piece of art, whether digital or physical, I get lost in it.
And you would describe yourself more as an intro or extrovert?
I am both, but more of an intro. I get energy from alone time.
Yeah.
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 So it gets easier for her to disconnect.
Yeah, it's way
because
easier.
that's the way you energize, and so
And that's why her
Exactly.
phone gives me massive anxiety, because you're trying to take a photo and you're seeing 100 messages on WhatsApp. I'm just like, oh my god.
see your habits are impacting others around.
I
you.
know. Yeah, clearly, I need to change. I need to disable those notifications.
Please.
And Sieka, do you think this is a recent phenomenon? You mentioned, millennials have mostly grown up being more digitally connected. Gen Z and Alpha, I mean, since birth almost. I remember my friend's child, we gave her a paper photo and she went like this, like, wow,
No way.
trying to zoom on it, right? With the pinch
Yeah,
motion.
wow,
This
yeah.
was 10 years ago. This
Yeah.
wasn't even that recent.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you think this is a recent phenomenon, or does every generation have its own equivalent vice, or what do you think?
They've always been vices, but I think with the internet, the connectivity that we have nowadays, it's at a scale that has never been there before. Yeah, and the scale of globalization, the scale of sharing ideas, the world has not experienced this before. And so this is a new phenomena. And I think we're all grappling with the fact that because it's a new phenomena, we need to understand it and build models to cope with it.
Yeah. And when you hear about laws coming into effect to help protect children from online bullying, from, all these online forums where you can hide away, you can escape into these online forums, and the next thing you know is childhood mental health issues, teenage suicides,
Terrorism.
self-harm,
Exactly.
terrorism, extremism, exactly.
I think it's just a lot of bad habits. Some people the internet brings the worst of them. Social media just brings the worst of them because you're hiding behind a persona, and you're able to bring your shadow self in its full glory, you know. And some of the things I read and I say, I wonder how this person looks who's saying these things on X or any of these other platforms. And you're like, how is this person? And probably when you meet them, they go like, this is not what I expected.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenon that is probably going to shape a lot of things in our life. But I do see there's a lot of progression towards this idea of disconnecting. I think to the extent that some countries are also saying, hey, let's revert from this whole idea of bringing all the kids online and let's go back to learning on pen and paper, chalk on the board. Let's go back, because they're just seeing the impact in society. It's not a positive impact.
Yeah.
And so people have to learn a different way. And sometimes learning a different way means going back to the past.
Yeah, I think there's even cafes that are just doing no Wi-Fi, no phones allowed. Like even parties, like that's the new thing.
Yeah.
They lock them up in a box and say,
Yeah.
now, let's learn to communicate as human beings. It's like learning to walk all over again. Let's do this strange thing of having a conversation, asking you your name, what did you do? Exactly.
Yeah,
and what's
the
going
art
on?
of conversation
It's getting lost.
is getting lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something else to add is that I think you mentioned it very well when you talked about executive coaching, and it's great always to have good coaches in life. Sometimes, though, you have to be your own coach, in some situations. And learning exercises such as this, where you actually are not just doing the exercise, but you're evaluating yourself as you do the exercise, and it begins to open up your mind to what are the challenges, what are the weaknesses you have to overcome, what are the opportunities you have, what are your strengths, etc. It allows you to see yourself in a different way, and actually start doing a little bit of your own self-coaching through that self-realization.
Okay, so I think the listeners need to hear exactly how you did this challenge yourself, what you've gained from it, and then also give them steps of, things they can try day to day.
Even small little steps to get them started on their journey.
Well, I don't know if I can say give better steps than you did. I think, first of all, everyone's journey is different and everyone faces different challenges. For me, an important part of this challenge, as I mentioned, was, again, self-observation, learning who I am. But as well, I was also building elements of discipline. Yeah, I think from where I sit, discipline is a strong part of building your internal spirit that drives other actions, and you have to be disciplined not to fall into traps where you get caught up in, say, a social media addiction, where you're constantly just reading stuff and looking for the next high, and you wake up again when your media channels ping and you want to answer to that story, etc. So just learning discipline has been an important part of my life on my journey so far. And so it's part of this exercise. Some other things I do is maybe when I wake up, again, I do the 20-minute meditation. I take it a bit further, a meditation, and then I put an intention for the day. What do I want to achieve today? What do I want to get out of today? What do I want to see today? And so I imprint in my mind some of the outcomes that I'd like to see, and then I get to do those things. I get to push for those things and make them through, and I can then evaluate my life in a much better way. So I've done that. I do less of the 4 hour thing. I think one, I'm spoiled naturally because I play golf, so that's like 4 or 5 hours of no digital interaction. That is my escape, and that's like nearly every weekend. So I do have that time to bond with nature or with the friends I'm with, to assess myself against a certain skill and challenge therein. And I think a lot of people should take up whatever it is, it's paddle, or whatever exercise, external outdoor activity, or if you're an indoor person, it's that time to read, etc. And I know the introverts will laugh at this show because they go like, oh yeah, we do this, and we are disconnected people.
Like, what's new about this?
Exactly. But the fact that you can get anxiety by looking at someone else's phone means there is something there as well. So there are also rooms and things that you can do to also assess where you are in this journey, even as an introvert, and have a better understanding of yourself.
Well, also as an introvert, if you don't find so much fulfillment in being with other people, and you don't have or seek out opportunities to, commune with nature, or, if it's go for a walk, whatever, those things that we all know are healthy, but do we actually do them? Right? Go for a walk, make a salad, read a book, right? So I think introverts can still just as much fun.
And not only that, but introverts also, they do engage in a lot of this reeling, etc. Because that's a way to engage with people without engaging with people. So you can actually sit down and be caught up. I don't know how if you'll agree with this, but you can say, oh yeah, I was at the party online, and so I didn't have to people. But I did get that, and so you can't get caught up in that cycle, and so you're constantly looking for adventure there, and you're never building up that part of you that does need to interact with others, that does need to be able to have a conversation with people, share your ideas, express yourself. So you're constantly in that inward state, and you're also not building skills that would allow you to be more fulfilled, be a more fulfilled human being, to get to that harmony I'm talking about.
Even for introverts, being in community still helps. Like that as a mental health benefit, to just sit with people. So introvert or not, that thing heals. I think even as introverts, we can't just say, there's a joke online that says, chatting online is getting human interaction without human interaction.
Yeah, there you go.
It's perfect. But you still need to sit across someone. It's good for
that
your mental health.
Human connection.
It's a lot more than just even your mental health. It's good. It's good to actually just to know people, to connect with individuals that can inspire you, that can probably put your life into a direction that's a lot more beneficial for you.
And challenge you. We've talked about this on other episodes as well. If you just sit with people who are similar to you, you're not expanding your brain. You won't necessarily be challenged. The art of debate, question, seeking other perspectives. And one other thing that I might start doing myself as well is, I don't have it anymore, but I usually had like a pile of books and magazines by where I plug my phone in, so I can reach for a book or a magazine instead. I moved them because my son went through a phase of trying to eat them. So I had to move them to a higher. Everything in my house is going higher and higher out of his reach. But I think maybe having a tool of, it could still be distraction. It could be a book. It could be a sketch pad. It could be something to fiddle with, so that maybe instead of reaching for the phone, you've got something else to reach for.
Yeah.
Is that?
No, that makes
It's
a
not
lot of
ideal,
sense.
but it's a baby step.
It makes a lot of sense. What I've also been doing is when I don't golf, like it's raining or something, then I've also started coloring, adult coloring books. So I've started coloring. And that's so interesting because as I was coloring, I asked myself a question like, why did you color with your right hand? Why don't you try your left hand? I mean, you've always done it with your right hand. Why don't you try your left hand? And so I tried it with my left hand. And I could hear my mind, the critic in my mind, starting to tell me, "Oh, you're not doing this right. Why are you doing this, etc." And you just start hearing, "Oh my God, really? I'm so critical of myself." And go, "Am I like that with other people in life? Am I critical of them who are not able to do things?" So it's amazing the small nuggets of wisdom you get in those moments of silence when you get away from when you disconnect from the digital world. You're able to then see these aspects of yourself that you never realized before. Yeah. And perhaps, let's face it, with AI, maybe we don't have to be as connected as we need to be now. I mean, AI can be your personal assistant. It can answer all your notifications. So there might be a way out that's even easier than what we're trying to do now.
Exactly. It will reduce the work time so that you have time to live.
We hope so. It's never been the case. We've always said digitization. It was first mechanization, automation would reduce, but I think we just keep getting busier and busier and busier.
Because we're always trying to do more, be more.
There you go. So we need to figure this out, and I don't think anyone has the perfect answer. We're learning how to figure this out, and hopefully, once we get some good pathways to a better way of living, we can definitely pass this on like you're doing to the next generation, so they can perfect it. Yeah.
And then modeling behavior. I think one key thing you said is modeling behavior to people around us, not just children, but, not making Akumu anxious with my
I would just want to touch your phone. I just want to take photos with your phone, basically.
Or even when I'm at, if people put their phones on the table at dinner time or something, I often have to turn it around because people find it distracting. I'm able to block it out if I'm in the moment, but others sometimes find it very distracting. Any parting advice for us or words of wisdom as we try and find a more fulfilling path?
More than I've already shared at this point. Let me see if I can add anything.
Or resources.
No, I think one thing is that being in a digital connected world has limited physical interaction, and I think intentionality around building bonds with people needs to be done a lot more. So we need to find, and to some extent, it's interesting, the younger generations are doing a lot more of this. I do see the kinds of friendships they have seem to be strong, even though they're in this digital, or it could be because of this digital world that they're intentional around doing things together a lot more. So I think being intentional around creating your people, your tribe, and learning from them, interacting with them, going back to the movies or whatever it is, activities that are outside of the digital world are very important. And so that's one piece of advice. Don't just get into this journey alone. I think there are many people who are suffering from being overconnected, who their anxiety is getting to another level where they're not seeing any fulfillment in life, or, as you said, cyberbullying, etc. We need to bring as many people in our journey as well. And so finding those people and then creating these moments where you can be offline and have an amazing, amazing time. Whether it's going to laughter, comedy night, poetry night, whatever it is, going to a museum, an art gallery. I mean, do things a lot externally, and it'll probably enrich your life a lot more.
Yeah.
I hope my marathon friends will not hear that.
Hiking and marathon works.
I hate that stuff.
Hiking
no
is good
thanks.
as well.
No thanks. You're giving Claire a reason to ask me to come to a marathon or something.
There you go.
Nope.
There you go. I think that was one of the best phenomena after COVID or during COVID. The hiking phenomena grew like no business.
Apart from the people who play loud
cult.
music whilst they're hiking.
There you go.
Counterproductive, in my opinion. All right. Thank you so much, Sieka. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Yes Girls. Whether you're new to podcasts or just new to us, there's a world of episodes waiting for you. Scroll through your feed and discover stories, lessons, and moments that might just shift something in you.
We'll be back before you know it, saying yes to a new challenge, maybe even one suggested by you.
But before we go, remember this. One thing I have to take away from this episode is finding what works for you. Finding fulfilment, meaning that your cup is full, you are in the moment, you are happy, you are connected to something that is not a screen. It could be a person, it could be yourself, it could be nature. And do it in small baby steps, even if it's 5, 10, 20 minutes in the morning. Find something that makes sense for you and where you really feel it in your bones afterwards.
And if you're scared to do it, that's even better. It means it will change you even more. Anyway, this week, what would it look like if you said yes to that other thing? Tugging at your soul, that small, scary, sacred thing. Say yes to it, try it, reflect on it, and even write it down. We are here to witness your story too.
And not all digital things are bad, so let's keep the conversation going, even if it's in DMs or on socials. Tell us what you've said yes to, tag us in your reflections, or share this episode with someone who needs to hear it or who might get something from it. You never know who's just one little nudge away from their next big or small step.
You can find us when you are digital on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Threads at Yes Girls Podcast. That one tap to share this episode or this show might just be someone's lifeline today. And now for some thank yous.
We would give up all digital media for some Pisha Productions out of Snowball Studios, who produced this episode and all of this season.
Who could not be present for Kags, who designed our wonderful logo and really be in the moment and hold space for Pedro Bryan, who came up with our theme music.
And what would real life be without our amazing expert, Sieka Gatabaki, and of course you, all of you listening, watching, wherever you are. We forgive you for being connected to a phone or laptop right now, if it means you're here with us.
And one more thing before you go that we ask all our guests, Sieka. What is something you've recently said yes to, apart from this challenge?
However big or small.
I've said yes to saying yes to life. Does that count?
Yes, but in what way?
We just need more specifics.
It's too general. Anyone can say that.
I think I've said a lot more yes to resting. Just not working constantly, but accepting that rest is an important part of life. And so saying yes to, I will stay an hour later in bed. I don't have to go that early. So I've been saying yes a lot to that. Yeah.
Nice.
Good. And I think that ties into, like, you don't always have to be connected. You don't always have to be productive. You don't have to always be not resting.
You don't have to be on.
The world will carry on moving, whether you're moving with it or not.
Yeah. You're not that important. That's
Yeah.
the point. See you in the next episode for more saying yes to doing, being, and learning something like
Fill the blank.
because I am Akumu.
I'm Claire.
And I'm Sieka.
And together, or rather, some of us are. Together we are
The
the Yes Girls.
Yay.
Laptops closed, phones off. Let's be present, people.